Hello and welcome back to Here's the Thing. I'm your host today, Tristan. We're here to talk about the second episode of Peacemaker Season 2. The title of the episode is A Man is Only as Good as his Bird. And we found that out in a very direct way at the end of the episode. So I'm not here alone. Once again, I'm joined by Michael. How are you doing, Michael? Ready to talk about the episode?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm very excited to talk about the episode. This episode had mostly great stuff in it, but I know I'm in the minority on a certain character in this episode that we're going to talk about that I was not a fan of. So that should be interesting. But for the most part, I was a pretty big fan of this episode, and I liked it much more than last week's even. So.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the divide comes down because we're also joined once again by Ari. How are you doing, Ari? I think you're going to be maybe more positive on this mystery character than Michael is. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I definitely am. I think he's the epitome of like what works about James Gunn's humor, and this is a very stupid. I mean, this is a very stupid joke we have with this character, but it works so well because James Gunn he knows the perfect balance about how to make those really like the dumbest jokes, the dumbest characters possible, the dumbest humors possible work extremely well. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this episode because I really did. I liked the premiere. I wasn't in love with the premiere. I loved season one, but I was like, okay, it's good, but it doesn't exactly feel like season one. This is like Peacemaker's back, baby. Like we are back. To quote Tim Meadows in maybe the most iconic episode, one of the most iconic lines, if not the most iconic line in the whole series, is a fucking duck just attacked me.
Yeah, you mentioned this is a lot like season one, and I think it's like season one in good ways and in bad ways. To me, the humor mostly works here, but there's definitely like whole scenes and whole jokes that I think just are like complete whiffs. We'll get into it, I think, when we start going. I have it in notes here, kind of character by character, so we'll break it down in that way. But yeah, if you haven't seen the episode yet, click off now because we are going to spoil it. There's not like huge spoilers or anything like that, but we'll talk about like jokes and the cooler scenes and that kind of stuff. So if you want to go into this episode completely blind, head away now because we definitely liked it a lot. So come back and watch it if you want to get the full breakdown. But yeah, let's start with this opening scene. I guess what's the cold open here. It's a flashback. I believe it's 8 months ago was the title we got, and we're following Rick Flag Sr. coming into his first day in charge of this company, and he's look. I want to look into my son's death, and this seems to be his obvious motivation throughout this season. Is like, I have unfinished business with Peacemaker. I want to find the man who killed my son, and I want to either kill him myself or just like ask him why, And this is an interesting part as well, where we get a couple of flashback shots from the Suicide Squad. So last week, he canonized the first season of Peacemaker and did his switcheroo retcon of the Justice League. And in this episode, we got a couple of shots from the Suicide Squad made canon, a couple of lines, but notably, we only see Peacemaker and Rick Flag Jr. in these shots. We don't see any of the rest of the cast. You don't hear any of them or anything like that. So we still haven't gotten like a Harley Quinn or any of that kind of stuff from Suicide Squad, but at least some parts of the movie are canonized. Did you have any thoughts on this, Michael, about them making this movie somewhat canon or filling in a little bit of Rick Flag's Senior's backstory here?
Well, yeah, I know that James said from the beginning, and obviously, the Suicide Squad is James Gunn's movie, so if he wants to make that whole thing canon, then he can just change his mind and say that whole thing is canon. But I know that before this season came out, he said that parts of the Suicide Squad, and he initially at the time said parts of season one of Peacemaker was going to be canon, but now it's like all of season one of Peacemaker is canon. And is it like parts of the Suicide Squad is canon? I don't know.
Technically, we don't know Peacemaker season one is canon because we don't know that like is our Chris. Like,
yeah, everything that was in the previously on is canon. That's what they're telling us. Previously in the DCU.
They said previously in the DCU last week. Yeah,
it's in the DCU, and it's canon. That's how I'm understanding it. But of course, he's being vague.
But because they changed lines and stuff, like that could be just like this is the DCU and similar things happened. So
It could-
then that would mean that season 1 was like that was a different like season 1 of Peacemaker.
It's possible, but they've certainly told us. I mean, that
Yeah.
in the previously on, that's what's canon. And
Yeah.
I understand, from what I understand, it all of season 1 is canon except for those couple of scenes.
My
that are
my
not.
thoughts, my
Yeah.
thought. Yeah, you were saying, Michael?
No, I was just agreeing with Tristan that
Yeah. My thoughts on this whole thing of he did something in the first episode about canon, selling this one. My thoughts are, I honestly think he's going to continue with this, and he's going to do one thing, maybe at the beginning or at some point in each episode, slowly lead us up to, and then when we get halfway through to those crazy last 3 episodes, that's when we're going to get some really crazy canon stuff. Like, maybe, who knows? What if in episode 6 or something, like the David Ayer Suicide Squad show up for a scene? Like,
That would be
what
fun.
if in this alternate universe, like Jared Leto shows up, like
Yeah, I don't know
in
about
the
that.
full,
I don't know about
the
that.
full leather, for the full purple leather jacket. He's got the gold tooth or whatever.
I think it's fun that people are stressing out so much about, like, oh, what's canon, what's not canon, and James Gunn is not that stressed about it. He's just showing it, like, oh, what is the Justice League scene canon? Is it not? He just shows it as it is now. He's not afraid to just like show things and not really worry about like all of the details of exactly what scene and what character is canon. What's canon is what you need to know, right? Peacemaker killed this guy, and it was kind of, a shady situation. Nobody really knows what went down in terms of the public. You don't got to know like who's Harley Quinn. Like, that doesn't matter to the Peacemaker season 2. So who cares who Harley Quinn is? Like, it doesn't affect this show. So I don't really want to sweat those level of details. It's fun that James Gunn is doing like these little bits and pieces of canonizing of things, but I appreciate that it's not like here's Batman or something. It's like everything is contained to Peacemaker's story, and all you need to know is what Peacemaker has experienced, right? None of that other stuff really matters that much.
Yeah, I agree with that. That right now, I think he'll wait to tell us that whenever it's important. He'll share all this stuff, and like it was important in this episode. I feel, because it was my favorite part of the episode, honestly, was to see Rick Flag Sr. reading the death certificate, basically how his son died, and visualizing what we saw in the Suicide Squad, but visualizing it in his head, and then just now on this complete cold-hearted vengeance spree for Peacemaker. So
it's interesting that he's taunted by that same line that taunts Peacemaker throughout the first season. He's taunted by that line, "Peacemaker, what a joke," and it clearly like really hits to him and really tears at his soul. And it seems to be like that moment that almost like breaks his perspective of himself in the first season. And I wonder if that same line is going to be what motivates Rick Flag Sr. That's going to be a thing that echoes in his head every day. Like, Peacemaker, what a joke. I got to take this guy out. He's a joke. He's not a real hero. He's a joke. He killed my son. And it's very interesting that one specific line has resonated so much with both these characters.
I just wanted to respond to what Michael was talking about. That was his favorite moment of the episode. I just wanted to say, I know what my favorite moment of the episode is.
We'll get to that for sure. That'll be down the line.
But yeah, I think that when he wrote that line, which was, I remember when the movie came out and people were talking about, obviously there's some people saying line was funny or whatever, but a lot of people were talking about how profound that moment was. And such an interesting wild visual moment to show the knife going into his heart. That was very not like anything I'd seen James Gunn do before. I'd like to see him do some more interesting visual stuff like that. It's interesting because that line happens, and it's interesting to see him bring that back, and I'm curious to see where that goes. Yeah,
I'm curious to see how these two people are going to eventually collide, right? Like Rick Flag Sr. is on the case of Peacemaker, but Peacemaker doesn't really have any beef with Rick Flag Sr. right now. I wonder what could motivate them to come together, right? Like, what would make Peacemaker have a problem with Rick Flag Sr. more than just like, you're messing with me? I could see it being Rick Flag Sr. wants to take away his multiverse room of madness, right? And he's like, look, I have this girlfriend, I have this great life over there. You can't beat me, because if you beat me, that's all gone, right? That could be the motivation that puts these two at odds. I can't wait to see them come together, and I really think we're going to get a Rick Flag Jr. Cameo, right? We got his photo in this episode. We got an actual scene of him in the Suicide Squad. I feel like James Gunn's planting those seeds so that we can get the character back, whether it's in the multiverse we're already exploring or it's some other version of the multiverse. I think he's going to pop up somewhere, right? Because if Peacemaker's in a different path in terms of his own life, his brother's still alive, that kind of stuff, he never goes on that Suicide Squad mission. He never kills Rick Flag Jr. So I would imagine he's probably still hopping around in that alternate universe out there.
You know what? You said you would like to see the moment when they come together. I'm going to throw you this bone. What if they never come together? What if there's something where it's just like where Peacemaker wants to form an alliance, but there's just so much vengeance built into the heart of him or something, into the heart of Rick Flag Sr., that there's no forgiving Peacemaker for killing his son. And I could see something like that happening, and maybe this season ends in a battle to the death showdown, whether they kill Rick Flag Sr. in the show or whether something happens where like Rick Flag Sr. is about to kill Peacemaker and then someone literally jumps, like a major character who we love, jumps in front of Peacemaker and dies. And then that's like Rick Flag Sr. saying like he's like now broken at like just the fact he even just killed just some other bystander. And then maybe Rick Flag Sr. decides like he just to leave and not even to completely abandon Peacemaker, to abandon everything, but just to hold the vengeance in his heart forever, basically.
What do you think, Ari?
Yeah, I don't think I see that. I don't personally see anything like that happening. I think they're going to come together. There's going to be some huge moment. I think we're going to get that huge moment where Rick Flag Sr. does something terrible, like accidentally or whatever, and then he'll realize, like, oh, what am I doing? Like, maybe
How
imagine.
close do you guys expect these two people to get? Like, by the end of this season, is Rick Flag Sr. like on this team with these 11th Street kids, hanging out with them on the rooftop, or is he just kind of like their James Gordon, right? He's kind of like there to help them out, but he's not really like on their team.
That's what I'm curious of. I'd be really interested to see him straight up join the team, and I could honestly see that happening. James Gunn loves to take these characters that are flawed and redeem them or whatever, flesh them out. I would not be surprised. I would honestly not be surprised if we saw that happen.
But
like
also,
he straight up joins the team by the end.
But also, regardless, like he could join the team, but I just don't see him being like the rest of the gang. The rest of the gang is like dancing to 11th Street kids songs and all this stuff, and I just don't see Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. being that kind of character. If anything, it's going to be like their Deadpool and he's Wolverine, and being like like that kind of thing, like on the team, but he's like growling at them or whatever, just to get away from him, kind of deal. And like it's that kind of banter, but it's not going to be like he's just partying it up with them constantly. Yeah,
Frank Grillo, Wolverine, in the multiverse cameo.
That would be crazy.
That'd be insane.
I also,
do you have any final thoughts on the Frank Grillo opening sequence here?
I just want to say also we could see something where he incidentally does something terrible and he's in this other world when he does that, and then you see Rick Flag Jr. walk into the frame and he's like, Dad, what did you do? Like, and that's how they meet, something like that. Like he sees him doing something terrible and he's like, look what I've become. I'm no different from Peacemaker.
Yeah, my prediction is that Frank Grillo and Peacemaker are going to have their standoff, and Rick Flag Sr. will get the best of him and be essentially on top of him, ready to kill him. And then in that moment, reflect back and realize I'm literally in the exact same spot that Peacemaker was in, about to stab this guy and kill him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to end this cycle and not be that same guy. That's how I see it going down.
I could see something too of like, yeah, like you were mentioning, like Rick Flag just gets so upset that he finds out about that door, that specific door too, especially that Peacemaker has been going through to be able to access like his family life and all this stuff, and then maybe Rick Flag finds a way to destroy that. And then that way it's like he can never access his dad again. He can never access his brother again. He can never access any of that. And I could see him like going almost to that far of lengths to do something like that. And then maybe get talked out of it or something along those lines. Or
I have a feeling that multiverse realm thing does not make it out of this season. I feel like James Gunn wants to cut off the multiverse here, and we're gonna get like that whole room is blown up or something like that, either by Frank Grillo or by Peacemaker himself. There's not going to be a door that goes to all the multiverses by the end of this season. I think James Gunn wants to be like, we're not doing the multiverse. We're done with that for a while. Okay, we're not coming back to that for another movie. We're not doing another Crisis. We don't want you talking about the Snyderverse or this verse or that verse. By the end of this season, like, there's going to be no multiverse.
It definitely will be back, but not for a long time.
Well, sure, it'll come back in some form someday eventually, but I don't think they have any plans for that in any remote way right now.
Yeah, so I agree.
I want to talk very quickly about this. At a bio scene, she's reuniting with her girlfriend. She's sneaking into the house, and she's like, look, I thought we were back together, or thought we were kind of like on a break or whatever. And her girlfriend's like, no, we broke up. You know, you can't just come back into my life like it's nothing. And she even tries to say I love her at the end, and she won't say it back. They're clearly having a rough patch here. You know, she's torn between her work life. She has this kind of work family with the 11 stray kids, and she's clearly doing something she feels is good. And yet her girlfriend wants her to come back to Gotham with her, and she's torn between both of those lives. Did they mention Gotham in the first season, or was that something that was just added this season?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I mentioned that to you during the episode. I was like, when I rewatched season 1, I completely forgot that they're straight up from Gotham. So that's just another example of how with season 1 of Peacemaker, they were already trying to like expand the DCEU and make it feel like a cinematic universe. So even in that first season, it felt like James is like someone who would not be a bad pick to lead a cinematic universe.
Do you think this girlfriend character is someone we're going to see like at some point in like a Batman series or a Gotham series? Like, are they setting her up to be anything, or is this just like her love interest?
I think it's probably just her love interest.
Yeah, I think they're not really going to do much with this.
I think they're basically just trying to flesh out the universe and be like, they're from Gotham. Gotham is a city that exists. It's not just like Batman, like people live there, and I honestly like that. That's a good way to make it feel like a cinematic universe.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, people stress about, what's canon and what's not. When are they going to say Gotham for the first time? When is this going to happen? And it just happens. You know, he just name drops it. That's what feels similarly to the first season of Peacemaker. This feels reined in, but the first season was like, remember Batmite? Remember this character? And he was just like throwing out all of this DC lore. And this season doesn't feel like it's doing that as much. He's not like every other line pulling from the DC wiki, but he's not afraid to drop stuff here and there.
Yeah, which I actually kind of respect, you know, that it's not like, because when you do fan service, there is such thing as too much fan service and even too many like references to stuff. And, you know, you could argue that the first season maybe had too much.
I don't think having a character being from Gotham is fan service. Like Batmite, I guess you could say is fan service, but not really, because like Batmite's not like a universally beloved character. He's pretty obscure.
That's why it's fan service. You
Yeah,
know,
that's why it's fan
something that
service.
only the fans will ever know anything about. And like saying the word Gotham in the show is fan service inherently, right? It's natural to the characters they would say it, but like the fact that it's Gotham and it's not any other city, like that's inherently fan service. But it's not just like, remember this, remember that. it does feel like something they would say.
I
Yeah.
guess I so directly associate fan service with that because that's what it's been for
No,
such a long
fan
time.
service is like anything that would make a fan go like, "Oh, they said the thing," or "Oh, they did this," or all that,
Yeah.
and that's like a
So
fan.
now, if season 1 is DCU,
So
then this would be the third time we've had a Gotham reference because obviously we had the reference towards the end of Superman. So, but I like that they're trying to make you feel like this is a cinematic universe, like Gotham exists. Like,
did
Yeah,
y'all
I'm
have
really
did y'all
curious
have a
if we'll-
reference in Creature Commandos of to Gotham as well? Or
oh yeah, well yeah, you're right. And that's honestly, I really like that because as much as I love the MCU, it doesn't always feel like a cinematic universe, and how the comics feel like an interconnected universe. And so I'm really excited if the DCU continues this, like reminding you, like, yeah, like Central City exists. I mean, even in Superman, like they reference, like was it Simon Krieg or one of those, like corporate guys they reference a few times. And so yeah, I really like that. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that.
What did you guys think of this pharmacy scene? This is where I started to get divided on the episode a little bit. She shows up at this pharmacy to get herself like makeup and stitches and that kind of stuff because in the previous episode she got in this big bar fight and now her face is all messed up and bloody. And while she's at this pharmacy, she gets approached by a well-intended woman who says, "Oh, are you having trouble at home? Are you being abused? Can I help you?" And Harker has this very intense freak out on her and says, "Leave me alone." And she's getting stared at by everybody in the store. And then they make a Muppet joke to make sure you aren't taking things seriously for too long. You got to make sure there's a joke in there every couple of seconds in a James Gunn show. But what did you guys? I'll start with you, Michael. What did you think about this pharmacy scene and this woman approaching Harcourt and how she is handling that? She's clearly not in a healthy state, right? Between this and like how she handles Chris towards the end, she's not handling confrontation well right now.
yeah, I really liked. For the most part, I like it. I agree that I kind of don't like the part that you're addressing, but overall, I like what the scene was intending to be, seeing just that, like, even when someone is trying to reach out to help her, that she is just so broken that she's just cut off any form of help, any form of she just wants to kind of drown in her sorrows and just beat herself up over this. And it's kind of painful to watch, it's hard to watch, but I think it's what makes this character so interesting to me. I think Harcourt is definitely, at least so far to me, other than maybe Peacemaker himself, the most interesting character of this season.
I think it's interesting too that she's relapsing so negatively. Everybody else seems like they are doing pretty all right. Like they're not doing great, but they seem somewhat satisfied in where they are, even if they're not like in the best spot. Like they're still talking, they're still hanging out. But yet Harcourt, it seems like her life is just really spiraling. She's self-abusive, and Kristen says like, "Oh, you're getting in these fights on purpose," and she's like, "Oh, I'm not doing that." But it's pretty clear she is in some way. She's going out there looking for confrontation in the worst possible ways. I didn't love this scene. I just felt like I didn't really understand what the joke was with this woman approaching her. I couldn't really understand if it was supposed to be a joke or if it was supposed to not be a joke. And I think that's an issue James Gunn has sometimes, where he's approaching a scene and I genuinely can't tell if he's joking or if he's serious. And he's sometimes trying to do both in the same scene, and that doesn't always work. But I do like this character, and I like where they're going with her. Ari, do you have any thoughts on this scene?
I absolutely, yeah, I've been waiting. Yeah, I definitely have thoughts on the scene. So I think he definitely is meant to be funny, and that's my problem. Is like, does James Gunn think that like domestic? That's what was going through my head. This scene, like, okay, it's a very funny scene, but like, should we be joking about this in this scene? Like, you had a chance to have a serious, genuine moment. We were talking about last episode. Are they going to continue with this commentary about her having toxic masculinity? And they are, but then the scene's a joke. Like, why are we treating this like a joke? This is very like not tasteful at all. It's not even that it's offensive. It's just like confusing. Like why are we doing this? You had an opportunity to have a genuine good moment, and obviously they're going for that. But that's James Gunn's problem. Is he's trying to have a serious moment and then inserting a joke at the same time, and then it's not. It makes it worse because he tries to like end the joke, but then continue it like 2 times,
It sounds like
and
James Gunn. The
which
joke's got to just keep going on a little bit too long, you know?
yeah, and I can't say I didn't laugh, but that doesn't mean I like the scene. Like I don't feel like this was well done. Like why can't we just have a serious scene? Like why
Yeah,
can't we just have this serious, genuine moment? So yeah,
it's
that's
and that's what I don't like about certain James Gunn stuff, because it's like that's what I had an issue. That's what I took issues with, even with some of the Guardians films, because like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you would have a very like deep and serious scene, and then you would have like Drax make a funny joke literally in the middle of that scene, or like directly, right afterwards, or
Do you guys
when
want to
they're
talk about the true comedic character in this show? Because they're talking about the James Gunn comedy. Do we want to just go into it with the comedy conversation? Because I think if you want to talk about the comedy conversation, you got to bring up the latest guest star, unless you get more to say, Michael.
the guest star. No, I wanted to say, so the
Before we
guest
bring up the
star.
guest star, don't bring up anything before the guest star, not involving the guest star.
Okay, I'm not going to bring that up, but I will say, as we talk about that conversation, yeah, I think like James Gunn has interesting ideas in his mind of like serious stuff to address, but I feel like he doesn't actually want to sit down and like have these serious talks. So it's just like he's just like, I just want to kind of make it an escape for people. And it's like, well, sometimes like the show itself, it's a comic book show. The whole thing is mostly 90% of it is going to be an escape, but you can at least have a scene or two that doesn't have to be that way.
yeah. In that scene in Guardians 3 where he's like, Rocket's gonna die, he's like, no. I was genuinely shocked that they didn't put like a fart joke in the middle of that or something.
Yeah, that's
Like
that's the only time a James Gunn project, I think.
And it's great.
Didn't do that,
It's
yeah.
a great scene. Like when you don't insert a joke,
Yeah.
it's great. But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about
We gotta bring
Tim
it up.
Meadows.
Tim Meadows is in this. He plays Agent Flurry, I believe is his name, something along those lines. He shows up. One of the first characters in terms of major characters you've had in the DCU that is wholly original, not based on any DC comic book character or anything like that. This is the James Gunn original, a James Gunn creation from the ground up, and you can tell when you watch it because he's very comedy oriented. I was questioning occasionally, like, is this guy actually funny? But most of the time he's really funny, and he shows up with Casanamos and is kind of like, we know you're not trustworthy, so we're gonna have this guy come in and like oversee you and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And he has this very like degrading way of talking to people. He has, these offensive nicknames for everybody on his team. I thought this guy was really, really, really funny, and I didn't know if I would think that because I'm not wholly on James Gunn's comedy wavelength. I didn't love the first season. I didn't think it was super funny, but I thought this guy was hilarious, and I thought his bird blindness was like one of the best.
That was great.
It was.
Is it just me? Is it just me? Or
No, it's not just you. It's
Oh.
definitely not just you. It's just
Okay.
happened twice.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't hear anything he said for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, but I just gotta correct you. Tristan accidentally said Castanamos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, John John Economos, which they made a joke about his name, which I really loved that joke when he says it kind of go.
Yeah, and I will say, even though I have some controversial here opinions on the Tim Meadows character, I will say this: from now on, y'all are to call me Ginger Cool on the channel.
Ginger Cool, Ginger Cool, Ginger Cool. We got Ginger Cool over here. Ginger Cool, we got Ginger Cool over here.
It's
We lost Tristan at the best part.
I
The
know.
best part.
Yeah, at the biggest part, the part that we're all gonna have a real disagreement and discussion with.
That joke was fucking great. It's so stupid. It's so goddamn stupid. It's so good.
It's stupid, and you can even tell Economos was saying like, dude, this is stupid. Like, why are you telling this? But hey, we got Destiny in the house. How are you doing? Says started watching Peacemaker last night and binged all the way through. Oh yeah, man. So you watched it from like the first episode of season 1. That's, I think, 8 episodes of season 1. So you've watched.
Well, no, 9.
Oh, it was 9 episodes in season 1.
No, because this premiere.
Yeah, 9 episodes, but technically 10 if she includes this one. So.
Well, no, because she said you binged last night. So then they watched the new episode just now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not a binge. Yeah, it's not a binge. The binge wouldn't be counting that.
Yeah. Okay, but that's true. So 9 episodes you watched, that's a lot of episodes of television all in one day. I mean, I've done it before, but hey, good on you. I'm glad you're part of the Peacemaker train here. We're definitely going to be talking about it week to week, but yeah, this is.
But yeah, I love Tim Meadows, but I love Tim Meadows' character, but he definitely is the epitome of James Gunn humor. And like, if you don't like James Gunn humor, you're gonna fucking hate this character. I mean, he is the bird blindness joke. That's like straight out of Guardians 2. That's so stupid.
I was not a fan of that joke. Like Tim Meadows.
Wait, you weren't a fan of the bird blindness?
Not really. He took me out of this episode, to be honest with you, because watching this episode, I was really enjoying it. And then you get him, and it's like nails on a chalkboard trying to do like funny jokes. Like it wasn't trying to be like, he was trying to be funny, but it was trying too hard of him being.
But I think that's intentional. Like the character is a douchebag.
Of him looking at him saying like, oh, he catches all the Pokemon and all that stuff, and it's just like, oh god, and I'm cringing. I like cringe comedy. Like I've cringed like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is cringe comedy, Curb Your Enthusiasm, cringe comedy. All these stuff is like I like a lot of shows that are cringe comedy, but like let's
jump into the showcase, the centerpiece of this episode. You're like, wait, is Eagly where is Eagly? And then the man, the myth, the legend, Eagly himself shows up and murders the shit out of all these motherfuckers. And that was like, I was like, okay, this is the show I fell in love with.
Don't forget, he does a badass walk afterwards, like this with his wings.
Okay.
Walking like this to like an epic badass song. I don't know the name of the song, but it was like really cool.
Okay, when that happened, I legitimately thought for a second he was going to start dancing. I legitimately thought Eagly was going to start like doing Gangnam Style or something.
I would not have put it past James Gunn. Like I would have gone full on just bonkers.
I would say that this show deserves to win all the Emmys if that had happened. How would you feel if Tim Meadows actually got into the Emmys? They're like, we're embracing comedy. I mean, they do nominate comedies.
They do, but I just don't feel like his performance would, because his performance just I feel like if anything they would go like John Cena or Jennifer Holland, someone like that. But
Jennifer Holland is not Emmy worthy.
no, not necessarily. I'm just saying, like, in terms of what they would go with.
If we were gonna nominate someone for comedy, I legitimately think like he could be Emmy worthy this season. Like he's that funny.
I'm glad you think so, but yeah, Tim Meadows to me, I like Tim Meadows as a comedian. I liked him in Mean Girls. I like him in a bunch of other stuff, but like in this, it feels like he walked off the set of SNL and then decided to just do SNL bits with his.
Well, I think that's intentional. I think that's the joke. I mean, when you cast Tim Meadows in a show that's a superhero comedy show, like that's the joke. It's Tim Meadows? Isn't it funny that it's Tim Meadows? And it is. To me, it was funny. And okay, like that whole sequence of Eagle, I'm like, this is a James Gunn show. Like, and when we watched the premiere, they were like, "Oh, it looks like he's toning down his humor. This is kind of weird." And then he's like, "Nope, not happening." He baited us. And no, if anything, it's more so. If anything, we're getting more James Gunn humor, James Gunn style this season. And I love that sequence. That was like full on, like, this is R, and we're taking advantage of. Like when he takes he takes the eyeball out. Like, I hated, like, compare that to something where, like, in Alien Earth, they're killing animals and taking the eyeballs out. That's, like, unnecessary. But here, this was great. Because it's like, we are doing full gross out humor, and I really liked it. Like, that's something that would happen in a Trauma movie. Not that this is nowhere near Trauma, but, like, you can tell Trauma and James Gunn wanted to do that.
Yeah, James Gunn has actively said before, like, he is a huge Trauma, like, fan.
I mean, he was part of Trauma.
And he was even a part of Trauma. So, like, he has that experience there. So you definitely can see that he still, likes to throw in some bits and pieces from that every now and then.
Yeah, and so we talked about the Eagly sequence.
And we talked about Tim Meadows. We can talk about, since we're going character by character,
the rooftop scene.
I was gonna mention, since we talked about most of the characters, we haven't talked about his name, funny guy. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh yeah, he was great. Deadpool. Wade Wilson. We can just call him that. We can just call him that.
He's basically Deadpool of DC.
He's Deadpool if he was actually a nerd.
So yeah, because the first episode, it felt like, of the season, it felt like he's just there because he has to be. Yeah, he was just there because he had to be. He had to be in there just to fill in the whole cast. And you were just like, oh, okay, that's kind of a bummer.
He shows up to that party with Bud Light product placement, and then he's like, "Here, catch," and then it breaks. So you're like, "Oh, okay." So he's gonna hand it to him. Nope. Here, catch. Then it breaks. Okay. Now this time, he's gonna hand it to him. No, catch is like, okay, no, just hand it to me.
Thank you, Destiny Vigilante. And no, you are not the only fan. Might be the biggest fan, but you are not the only fan.
I don't know how someone would think they're the only fan. That clearly a lot of people like this character.
Oh yeah, Vigilante is so great.
And I knew his name, I just didn't want to say it because, he's Deadpool. We don't need to say it.
Yeah, he is Deadpool. And I loved, like, to me, the funniest joke to me of this episode was now that we have Tristan back, we can get his thoughts a little bit on the Tim Meadows stuff, because we were continuing the conversation.
Is it just me? Oh.
Yeah. There you go. We were continuing the conversation. Basically, I was telling Ari that that he loved the Tim Meadows stuff because it felt, it's the epitome of James Gunn humor, basically.
And what works about it.
But for me, I was not a fan of it. I thought that Tim Meadows, and I love Tim Meadows, But like in this show, it felt like he just walked off the set of SNL and just did SNL skits with his friends. And to me, I was not really a fan of that. And then some of it was like him doing the whole, oh, he catches all the Pokemon and all that. And it's like that was like cringy to me. I was like, oh, he's like trying to joke here. And to me, I just wasn't really a fan of his character overall. So
I'll say like some of it worked. The Pokemon thing kind of worked to me because it is cringy. It is awkward because this guy is just like some weird psycho trying to use humor to bond with them. And it feels like some guy who doesn't quite understand humor trying to like make a joke. And I feel like it's a really interesting character in that way. I really loved his interactions with him. And I really love the bird blindness. Like I said earlier, I don't know if that was caught or not before my computer crashed, but I really love the bird blindness joke. And it seems like such a stupid joke. And then it ends up just coming back and then paying off with the Eagly thing at the end. And you're like, okay, this is a really stupid James Gunn joke, but it's actually working really well. But for me, what didn't work was him having those nicknames for his team. I didn't wholly understand what the joke was. Like, is this guy supposed to be funny, or are we supposed to find this like not funny? And I don't really know what the joke was there. He was just saying offensive things, and you're supposed to laugh because he's saying something offensive, I guess, and that is the joke. But overall, this guy worked for me. I'm glad that he didn't die at the end. I'm glad he's gonna come back for at least a few more episodes. Probably he's gonna be like that cop duo that was there throughout a lot of the first season. He's probably gonna be like our eyes and ears into some of the, not the police, but like this militaristic force, that's coming after them.
Hopefully he doesn't unnecessarily die out of nowhere just when we're starting to like him.
Yeah, I'm hoping
maybe
not.
Watch. I'm gonna finally say I like the character, and then they're gonna like kill him off like the moment I say I like his character.
They already killed off one minority in season 1. Now they're gonna do it again.
Yeah,
I have a similar question.
Typical James Gunn.
I have a similar question to I had with Frank Grillo Sr. Like, does this guy end up becoming part of the gang? Is he hanging out with them in the finale? I think he could
definitely
comes and hangs out with them.
I think he definitely could, and he's the type that actually would like dance with them and drink beers, and and actually like have like a full on kind of moment.
What offensive name is he gonna? We got to predict right now. What offensive names will he give to the entire gang? Let's start with the man himself, Peacemaker.
They're not gonna do all that, but I will say that our next one we talked about the Eagly stuff and him, fighting, and then him walking away and that whole scene, and that was how great that was. And then we are now on Vigilante, so.
We have a comment from a viewer, Destiny. Welcome to the chat. They're mentioning that they're a huge Vigilante fan.
Yeah,
the biggest and not the only fan. Destiny,
I mentioned. Vigilante. Yeah, Michael read off that message, and I was like, "This is person trying to be ironic because a lot of people love Vigilante. Like, what are you talking about?"
I will say I was not a fan of Vigilante at first. Like the first couple episodes he was in, I was like, "This guy is actually torturous. Like, I might hate this. This is like
I immediately
the worst character." And like, there was a good amount of time where I didn't watch Peacemaker season 1 because I just like straight up did not vibe with Vigilante at all. And I'm glad that I stuck with it because he really grows over the first season, and I hope he has a lot to do this season because he's kind of just like been there. He has funny moments, they're pouring alcohol over him. He's, the perfect character who would be at a party like that and get like too drunk, too into it. He's a great version of that character. I really like the guy, and I don't know if the line is in this episode or if it's just in the trailer where he says like, "Oh, an alternate universe. I wonder if there's a different version of me out there." And I really am wondering if we're going to see a different version of Vigilante in one of these other universes, one where maybe his life is great. He has friends and he gets along fine. That could be something that really messes with his head, right? Someone who's written himself off as like a psychotic joke who doesn't have anything to live for. What if in reality he's fine?
Or what if I have a theory. What if they do the reverse of Peacemaker, where he ends up fighting his alternate version, but his alternate version kills him? And then that alternate version maybe comes back with him.
Oh, that's going to make a lot of fans upset. They would stop watching the show if they actually did that. So
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So if they kill Vigilante off, like I know people who straight up said like he is Peter Dinklage of Game of Thrones. Can't kill Peter Dinklage in Game of Thrones. He is of all these different characters. Like it's like he's that supporting character who you love so much that you just cannot kill. If they kill him off, then you're going to like lose all the fan base.
They said if Daryl dies, we'll stop watching, and then they stop watching for different reasons. So
yeah. So but I believe they still would have stopped watching even if he died. But my thing that I think that they could do, which would be totally interesting, would be that he gets to see an alternate version of himself, and he's like super excited. He's like, "Whoa, it's an alternate version of me!" And then it's like a serious version of him, and he's like, "Who the heck are you?" And he's like punching him. He's like an actual serious person, this vigilante, rather than just this weird, goofy joke. And that could be something kind of fun.
Imagine he's actually straight up like a serial killer. Like in season 1, the joke is he keeps mentioning, "Oh, I kill all these people. I love killing people." But then he goes to this other Earth, and his alternate self is like literally like an actual serial murderer.
Yeah,
and
I have a feeling he's going to have a much worse life in this alternate universe. They're establishing in these first few episodes how much good being a team has done for these people, right? Like how much having friends has helped Vigilante, and how much having people around has helped all of these characters better themselves. And in this alternate universe, we're assumingly going to see these characters who have not bonded, who haven't had this found family, and I'm guessing that basically all their lives are going to be a lot worse off. Like Peacemaker's seems great, but I think he's going to realize over the course of the story that like he was a much worse person in this reality than he is in the current one. And I think that's going to be true for every single person in the cast. They're all just going to be worse people, not just in worse spots, but they're going to be like worse people, evil murderers, or just distant and cold. That's going to be what they discover, is like being in this group together has made us all better. And they're going to see that by seeing what they would have been like in terms of, in like a, oh God, It's a Wonderful Life kind of thing where he goes and he sees what would their lives be like if they didn't know me. I think we're going to see like what would their lives have been like if we weren't a team.
There's an interesting moment I'm thinking of in the trailer for the next episode where you see he's going through a hallway and he's brutally killing a guy, and then you see his face and it sees like I think in that scene he's going to realize like, wait, what am I doing? This is not what I want. So I think that's going to be a really great moment, and when he realizes, wait, why am I doing this? I definitely do not want this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be sort of a parallel. He's like, okay, is this what I'm like here? Because this isn't what I want to do.
I think it's going to call back to that toxic masculinity commentary in the first episode of like, he gets in this environment with his dad and his brother, and he just starts to give into his worst version of himself without even really thinking about it. It's not like he's actively being like, oh, I'm going to be a piece of shit today, but he just gets in an environment that encourages the worst version of himself, right? And I think that's going to be what they explore through that trio.
And speaking of toxic masculinity, I think that Harcourt, the way she's acting, like that is that person who said she's toxic masculinity, they're being proven right. Like this is the problem. This is a big problem of what men do, and society encourages them. Don't deal with your problems. Push them away. Deny they exist. Aggressively deny they exist, and that's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, you can see that in that final scene where, like, Chris tries to have a conversation with her, and it's not aggressive. It's not confrontational. It's like, look, you're beat up again. I'm starting to just get worried about you. You're my friend, and I don't want you to end up hurt or worse. You know, it's clear that we've come close to each other, whether that's romantic or not. I don't want something to happen to you. And it goes very poorly. She immediately turns to confrontation, and then it's clear that she's not ready to have that conversation. And it's also clear that she is getting in fights purposefully. Whether she knows it or not, she's going out there to try and pick a fight, and she's trying to die. Is she suicidal without really acknowledging that she is? That seems like something they could do with the character. But I'm sure she's going to at some point have a counter-reality moment and realize like, oh, I actually am the worst version of myself and I have to be better. I'm wondering what that will be.
Yeah. And I think that that all the characters might kind of have that moment, because if you do something like a serious vigilante down the road, that maybe vigilante will even look at himself and in the mirror and say like, wow, you know, when I shot those people in that house in season 1, I was all like just having fun, like you know, that stuff like that. And it's like, should I really have like acted like that? And I think that there could be like a even growth in him, even to some degree, and such. So I think like I think the way that they're doing the multiverse here just will instead of, they're not doing it like Marvel's doing, or Marvel's like, oh, fan service, blah blah blah. They're doing it like, we're actually using the multiverse as means of character growth.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're
about
actually telling
exploring
a
the
meaning.
character.
Oh,
It's character oriented. It's not just cameos. It's not based on other things. Like there's nothing about this that requires you necessarily to have seen like a bunch of other movies or a bunch of other shows. It's all based upon the characters that are in this show right now and their individual journeys. You're finding them all at a part where they're wondering if my life is going in the right path, and it's a good spot to introduce the multiverse. And you're not having, like, you may get cameos down the line, but I think it's a really, really good move that we haven't seen like a bunch of crazy characters. We've only seen characters that we already know: his brother, his dad, and himself. And that's basically all we've gotten so far.
did you
Yeah.
get? Oh,
The Java even says, I really like how the multiverse is being used in this series. I thought it would be tiring with so many multiverse stories nowadays, but these episodes have been great. I agree.
I think James Gunn's showing us how it's done.
I just wanted to see. Did you guys notice that they straight up had false footage and misled us in the trailer for this episode?
Which footage?
When the episode starts and he's showing someone the body, and in the trailer it's Adebayo, and she's like, "You killed yourself and then put him in a bag and hit him," and then straight up in this episode it's just Vigilante.
That is interesting. I wonder what that, like, is she gonna come back? But clearly not, right? Because the body is taken care of. I wonder if that's really just from some completely unrelated scene. And
I think they purposefully misled us. I'd like to see more of that. It's like trailer for next episode, but then straight up, it's just not going to happen.
It's sort of like in the they almost pulled like that trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 situation, where it's like, you know, you saw Joel saying like, "You think I let you do this on your own?" And then all of a sudden it's like a whole nother character ended up saying that.
Yeah, we need more of that.
And you're like, whoa, what? And so yeah, it's like how they
we need more of that. Show like in the trailer for Avengers Doomsday, like Patrick Marsden going off with like Tom Holland, and they're like, oh, what's gonna happen with them? And then you watch the movie and they don't even have scenes together. Like, we need more of that.
Well, speaking of Vigilante, before we move on from him, I do want to point out real quick that my favorite joke of the whole episode was when he sees the girl coming out of the bathroom, and you know she like flush and all this stuff that comes out, and then his first thought after everything was, "Oh, that's so gross." He's like, "Okay, I know." He in Peacemaker's thinking he's talking about like just her being naked. He's like, that was way too quick of time in between when she was leaving the bathroom and when she was flushing the toilet. She did not wash her hands and all that stuff. He's just like the way he's focused.
Yeah, I like that joke. That was a good joke. I think
that was really funny.
I don't think the Peacemaker's humor works for everyone. Like, it works for me, it works for you, but I don't think that's like universal. Like, I think some people think that's a bit too dumb, his jokes, but I really liked him. My favorite part of the episode, the funniest line of the episode was honestly probably when he's like, titties, everything's gonna be okay, or something.
That was really funny. Speaking of Vigilante, we do have another comment here that says, plot twist, the Vigilante from the other dimension is Chris Conrad, the original actor who was supposed to play Peacemaker.
That would be fun. It's an MCU kind of cameo to do. I wonder how crazy it'll get, because they've been hyping up like all week they're already saying like, oh, we got to watch the last 3 episodes. They're going to be nuts. They're going to be like their own movie. And James Gunn's like, oh, it's like the best thing I've ever directed type of hype. And I don't know if he said that literally, but like he said, it's the best part of the show that he's directed type
Yeah,
of
he's
answer.
like,
Oh.
he's like, I haven't even shown it to my publicist. I don't want anything getting out there.
Yeah,
And
because
I
when
wonder, when you
they
say
do the
that,
screeners,
it makes me think there's cameos, right? You got to bring in some Superman characters. You got to bring in, I don't know about the multiverse necessarily, but like you probably will be setting up like whatever is next. And like,
oh yeah,
is there going to be a Peacemaker season 3? I would imagine so, but like we don't know yet necessarily. And James Gunn's a busy guy. Does he have time to write like 8 or 10 more episodes of Peacemaker?
yeah, and I think there. Yeah, we've talked about it in the first episode. Al, there's so many potential cameos that could appear in those last 3 episodes. Like they didn't give critics the last 3 episodes; they only gave them the first 5. They didn't want them to see the last 3 because of potential cameo spoilers.
Did we talk about
like,
the Eagerly scene yet? Because we can't.
Yeah.
We can't end it yet. That was such a scene, man.
Oh yeah. Ari and I talked about the Eagly scene, but you want to give your thoughts on that?
Great scene. What a great action sequence, and it made me wish we got something more like this in Superman. Because Crypto had some good action moments, but I was watching this and I was like, Eagly might be better. Eagly has got this great sequence in here fighting these guys off, and I wonder, let's see an alternate universe Eagly, right? I want to see an alt Eagly. We saw how cool this Eagly is. Let's see like an Eagly versus Eagly fight,
He's like a shit ton more violent than this one.
Everyone's
like
hyping
much
up alternate
more violent.
Peacemakers, alternate Vigilantes. Right. I want to get Eagly versus Eagly. What if we get like a multiverse of Eaglys, right? There's like 5, 6, 10, 12 Eaglys all fighting in like a brawl.
Oh man, that was so great. And then at the very, very end, whenever he's trying to hug Eagly and he's drunk and he's just like, and Eagly's like just squawking at him. I almost thought, I was scared for a second because I thought something happened to Eagly because you hear squawking, you just hear him drunk. He's like, Eagly. I thought he was going to be drunk and he would have found Eagly really severely hurt.
He might get kidnapped or something because Michael Rooker's character's coming in the next episode.
Yeah. So, but I thought that it was going to be something like that, and then it was going to end a cliffhanger of like Eagly being severely hurt, and I was going to be like, oh no, but that wasn't the case. I will say, obviously, Eagly has looked great. I think the CGI in the shows looked really fantastic. That scene where John Cena is like drunk and he's like holding Eagly and he's like, you're the best. That is the only bit of CGI that looked extremely noticeable. It looked like,
there are moments where it's noticeable.
His arm is like obviously like hovering over Eagly. It's like really weird. It's like, okay, this is a little awkward, but everything else, like Eagly overall looks really good on the show. It's just certain sequences like that, kind of stand out.
I'm curious where we go next because James Gunn, like we said, has been hyping up the end of the season, but no one's really talking about like the middle of the season. And I was kind of nervous coming into this episode that it was going to be like a huge step down. And I guess it was a step down in terms of giving you a bunch of information, but it still gave us a good amount of information. It definitely moved the plot forward. It gave us the tiny little sprinkle of like DC lore and that kind of thing. I'm imagining that'll happen throughout the season. So this made me really confident that this whole season is going to be great because I was worried that it was going to be very front-loaded and very back-loaded because that's where James Gunn was directing. But at least from what this episode told me, we're going to be having a good time throughout this whole show, and it's going to feel like James Gunn even when he's not, behind the camera through a lot of the season. So I really hope they keep this going forward and it still feels consistently James Gunny as we go along. But I am worried that like the middle of this season might lull a little bit because of the fact they've been hyping up the last half. I feel like they do that kind of by design because they don't want us to start clicking off, in the middle of the show. So I feel like they got to say the last few episodes are crazy. Don't stop now.
I'm expecting this next episode to be great though. We're fully in this new world and he's full on acting as Peacemaker in this new world, fighting people. He hasn't really gotten to go on any missions recently, and now he's actually going to go on a mission. I mean, it's not going to turn out well. He's going to realize, wait, what's going on here? But we are going to, I think this next episode is going to be really great.
How much do you think they're going to show us? Like, is it going to be a whole episode in that alternate reality, or are they going to keep us side to side? Do you think there's going to be a bunch of cameos? Do you think we'll finally see Judo Master, who seems like they're going to be in this season, according to the opening sequence? Judo Master is in this show. I wonder if they're going to be in like an alternate Judo Master, right? Is that
Why
gonna be
is
his
Judo
first
Master
mission?
back?
I don't know, but they're in the opening.
Why
sequence.
is
They're dancing
Judo
around.
Master back? It should be your question. Judo Master is like, he's Judo Master, okay?
I'm not going to lie. I really liked the joke last season where he's always just eating chips. like he just, you're barely breathing. And then he just like takes out a bag of Lay's and just stares at you and eats chips. Like that scene with the guys in the store, that was great.
I can't wait to see what they do with the alternate reality, man. And we've talked about all the cameos they can do, but it'll just be cool to see how Peacemaker adjusts to this new reality and how he seems like it's going to be living his dream life, doing whatever he wants to do. How quickly is he going to start to realize that's not what it seems like? And when he does realize that, like, is he going to want to leave? Can he leave? Like, how is he going to maintain this lie that he's the alternate Peacemaker with all these different memories? How is he possibly not going to get caught, right? And I wonder how long it'll take for people to start catching on.
Based on the rest of the season trailer from the premiere, it seems like maybe he can't go back and he needs them to come and rescue him. And I think it's very possible that Vigilante will be the one leading the charge. Like, we got to go get him back now, guys.
You never thought that he would be the person to lead. That seems kind of...
I think that's how you spice things up. Like, how are we going to do something different with the character this season? He's going to take charge. He's going to lead. He's like, I need to take charge. I need to make something out of my life. I need to go rescue my best friend, the best thing that's ever going to happen to me. And maybe he even rescues him from himself. Like, imagine he gets there and Vigilante, for some reason, is going and trying to kill Peacemaker.
It's interesting they're doing the same structure as the Suicide Squad. You have one of your major characters who's off on their own with other characters, and then the rest of the team has to team up together to go rescue them. And I wonder if they'll even do the same bit where, like, Peacemaker is escaping right when they get there to rescue him, and they're like, we came all this way to get you, and he's already getting out.
That would be interesting, but that'd be a nice callback. Next thing you know, they're going to show that scene. Like, they're going to have him escaping on his own, and he sees them trying to rescue him, and then they're going to show a flashback of that sequence, and then we're going to be like, oh my god, Harley Quinn is canon!
Yeah, they just all of a sudden make, like, the entirety of the cast canon, and including Batman. They're like, yeah, let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah. What if, like, okay, under or over 70% that Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn, regardless of which version that she shows up this season?
Way under.
Oh, what's the number?
70%. I'd go 30.
I would go under 70, but I think that she could show up. I don't know if she's going to show up in this. You're talking about this season, right?
Yes.
Then in that case, definitely under. Because I think in terms of, if you were asking DCU, I would definitely maybe be. If you were saying,
yeah.
But if it was just the season, then yeah, I definitely am going to say under.
Do you guys think we'll see Kaylee Cuoco doing a live action interpretation of her animated series counterpart?
She's the
I hope not, 'cause she's not good.
She's the only Harley Quinn interpretation I'm really not a fan of.
If anyone, I'd want to see
hope not.
I'd want to see Raging Zionist, what's her name, from the Arkham games.
Tara Strong?
Tara Strong?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
I'd want to see her in live action. Imagine her and Mark Hamill in live action, side by side.
I'm placing my bet that we're getting a Kaylee Cuoco appearance, and maybe even see Kite Man in the same appearance. You know, they mentioned Kite Man in the previous Beyond with intention.
Kite Man, I think he can make a cameo for sure. I think Kite Man's going to be maybe one of those weird cameos that you see pop up.
And if you're gonna do like a weird cameo for a one-off scene in the show, I feel like that's where you go, Kaylee Cuoco, because she's not gonna be like the DCU's Harley Quinn. But if you're gonna do like a fun, here's a multiverse that they go into to hide for a second, I feel like that's more likely than Margot Robbie showing up on a TV show for a scene.
Especially because that Harley Quinn show is still going on. Like it's still
and is generally liked. Like I've liked parts of it, not like other parts of it, but like I think it is overall pretty solid, and it would be a fun thing to connect to, especially because it's still being made, it's still produced on the James Gunn's kind of view. So I feel like when he wants to encourage Elseworlds, why not go with the ones that are already happening?
And we're also, it's notable that we're also straight up getting the actor who plays Clayface in that show as like he voiced Clayface in Creature Commandos. So
it's true.
It's not impossible that Kaylee Cuoco is going to be the DC's Harley Quinn, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I would really hope not. No offense to her as an actress, but I just don't like her voice. It just doesn't sound like she's like doing a normal voice.
Also, how old is she? Is she like older than Margot Robbie? Because I don't know. I mean,
I highly doubt that.
I feel like it would.
Also, I don't think Margot Robbie's going to show up for this for no other reason, mainly that this is like TV. Like Margot Robbie's like a movie star. Like she's not going to want to show up on a TV show.
Okay, but also, ever since the golden age of television happened, like we can no longer say that.
But I still don't. I still think that she's someone
are becoming television actors.
Yeah, but I still think that she's someone who would she'd want to be in a movie.
Yeah, Margot Robbie is not doing television. Television, whether they want to admit to it or not, is a downgrade from movies, and it always has been and always will be that.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's not, but most of the time it is. Like you don't make a TV show if your movie career is doing really well. And even Nicolas Cage, like he's making a TV show because his movie career is just not doing super well, right? He wouldn't be doing a Spider-Man noir show for MGM Plus if he was like out here making Oscar contenders, right? I think at least.
Well, also Nicolas Cage said in an interview once that like he just will do whatever you give him because he just likes to work. So it's one of those things that like if that's why he'll make like a Jiu-Jitsu straight to DVD movie at one point, then he'll give you like some pig kind of Oscar caliber performance. Then he'll give you like other stuff. All of a sudden, he'll just go back and forth.
He likes the money, so he can get some more Superman collectibles.
Yeah, some two-headed snakes.
He's gonna get a limited edition David Corn Sweat Superman action figure.
You guys got anything else to say about this episode? I feel like we've dissected Peacemaker episode 2 pretty deeply here. Anything?
Tristan, you noticed that they used a song from the same musician as the theme song of the show, and it's even from the same album, and that was interesting.
It reminds me of Creature Commandos, where he went back to Go-Go Bordello like many times throughout Creature Commandos. I wonder if he's like got his favorite couple artists he's gonna pull for multiple times in this season.
Yeah, it definitely makes me wonder as well. But I've in terms of what we have to talk about, we basically broke down everything on Peacemaker season 2.
I'm loving the soundtrack. I don't know if you brought that up, but I already just mentioned the songs.
Yeah, I really like the soundtrack.
Not as heavy as the first episode, but it had some good stuff.
It had a great mix this episode because there was like some pop songs here. There was like almost like a more folksy like song at one point that popped up, and then there was like a straight up metal.
Yeah, I like I'm not even a metal fan, but that song at the end was awesome.
But not even at the end, like the scene when they're when all the bad guys are getting ready, Tim Meadows' crew, and they're all getting ready and they're gathering up the like their ammo and all that stuff. Like they're playing a metal song in the background while they're.
That was a crazy sequence. It's interesting that he fills the soundtrack with like songs he thinks Peacemaker would probably like. There's a lot of stuff that I would imagine Peacemaker would like listening to in his trailer. Like a lot of that metal, especially in the first season, there's a lot of like 80s hair metal and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is a lot of
punk rock too, like punk music. Yeah.
Maybe that's the real punk rock.
Maybe.
Kindness. I wonder if they'll say that in this,
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, really great episode. I really can't wait to see what happens in this alternate reality in this next episode. I can't wait for next Thursday, and I can't wait to discuss it.
Yeah, I can't wait either. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, it was a great time talking with you guys. If you want to watch some other stuff on the channel, there's so much actually coming on. We're going to be reviewing Caught Stealing at some point soon. We're going to be reviewing Toxic Avenger at some point soon. I'm going to hope to review The Roses. I've been a little bit sick for the last few days, so we didn't get to Alien Earth, but we're going to cover that in some capacity coming up soon. So we have a lot going on the channel, not just Peacemaker. If you like movies or TV shows, I'm sure we're covering all kinds of it on the channel. So check us out here. Give us a like. If you liked it, as usual, let us know in the comments what you thought of the episode, what you're thinking for next week. What are you thinking in this alternate reality? Who's going to show up? They could have anyone, and we went against Margot Robbie, but who knows? James Gunn has so much pull. He could get anybody he wants if he really, used that James Gunn charm and worked it out. You never know. But yeah, let us know what you thought. If you liked it, give us a like. If you didn't like it, eat peace, loser.